Alright, everybody, how we doing today? Hopefully better than the guy I'm about to talk about. You know, since he's dead and whatnot. Yeah, we're going to cover some more domestic stuff here. And it's not going to be pretty. It says, Georgia has executed a death row inmate without DNA testing the evidence. The daughter of the murder victim has accused the state of ignoring her wishes. Now, you may have realized I have covered Ray Cromartie's story before. A guy who was quite possibly falsely accused of a robbery. Essentially grand larceny. Along with murder. But the state of Georgia executed Ray Cromartie, 52 years old, last Wednesday night. Cromartie was convicted in the 1994 shooting death of a store clerk, Richard Slies, in Thomasville. Cromartie and a man named Corey Clark encountered Slies while robbing his store. Slies was shot twice in the head. Clark would later testify that Cromartie was the shooter. The state used this testimony and low-quality security footage of a man fitting Cromartie's general description to convict him. That was literally it. That was the evidence they used. That's bullshit. There is reason to doubt the state's case against Cromartie in an affidavit from Thaddeus Lucas, Cromartie's half-brother and driver the night of the robbery. Lucas says he overheard Clark brag about the shooting in an apartment. If this is true, then Clark had a strong motive to work with prosecutors and pin the shooting on Cromartie, because of his cooperation. Clark avoided murder charges and a death sentence. Cromartie's lawyers argued that DNA testing could exonerate him, but petitions for a DNA test were ignored, since Cromartie participated in robbery that led to the man's death. He was a party to the crime, and under State Code 16-220, that means he can still be held responsible for the murder even if he didn't actually fire the shot. So it's legally possible, though morally absurd, for the man who didn't pull the trigger to go to death chamber, while the man who did pull the trigger isn't charged with murder at all. That is disgusting. If you didn't pull the trigger, you didn't commit murder. Plain and simple. That law needs to be taken off the books right now. But over time, Cromartie attracted many supporters to his cause, including Sly's own daughter. Elizabeth Leggett, the daughter of the victim, looked over the case herself. She wrote several letters expressing that she had concerns about whether or not Cromartie was really the killer. The day before Cromartie was scheduled to be executed, Leggett expressed her displeasure. I understand that I have certain rights as a victim under both the Georgia Constitution and statutes, most notably the right to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, and the right to be heard at any proceedings involving the sentencing of the accused. In the course of the past few months, I have not been treated with fairness, dignity, or respect, and people in power have refused to listen to what I had to say. I believe this was in part because I was not saying what I was expected to say as a victim. This leads me to the conclusion that victims' rights extend only to those who support what the state apparently wants most in death penalty cases, the execution of the offender or alleged offender. It's true, these corrupt politicians, they don't give a shit. You think you're doing good by signing petitions, but the funny thing is, petitions can be ignored. They're only effective so long as the politician in question actually has a heart. And as I said again in my video about Israel earlier today, don't turn your back on a politician. They might just stab it. But when Leggett wanted, she explained was answers in her father's death. She added that she found it shocking and surprising that Cromartie's defense team was there for me when the state was not. Speaking of her desire to have the physical evidence in the case tested for DNA. Cromartie was initially scheduled to die on Wednesday at 7 p.m. His lawyers filed 2 last-minute petitions to the U.S. Supreme Court asking for a stay of execution. The court denied both petitions late in the night, and the lethal injection was administered at 10:59 p.m. It is so sad and frankly outrageous that the state of Georgia executed Ray Cromartie tonight after repeatedly denying his request for DNA testing that could have proven he did not kill Richard Slies, says Sean Nolan, Cromartie's lawyer. In this day and age where DNA testing is routine, it is shocking that Georgia decided to end this man's life without allowing us, his attorneys, access to the materials to do these simple tests. The victim's daughter repeatedly asked that the state conduct his testing. The people of Georgia and those in this country who believe in fairness, justice, and compassion deserve better. I absolutely believe that people of the state of Georgia would be in the right to start a petition or even do a protest demanding that the judge handing out the sentence be removed from the stand permanently. Like, he literally cannot work as a judge ever again. and even place severe penalties on the state of Georgia itself for executing someone without doing anything more to confirm their conviction. And if it turns out if they do the DNA testing years later and they turn out they execute an innocent man, then they've committed a horrible injustice. So again, these people would be absolutely in the right to demand that the judge be de-seated and removed from his seat. Remember, kiddies, the law does not determine what's right. What's right determines the law. Or at least that's how it should be. But nowadays it seems like what determines the law more than anything is just political corruption. These politicians do not have a heart. They do not give a shit. If you turn your back, they will stab it. But yeah, there you go. That's what I have to say about some of the legal news. When you look at Cromartie's picture when he's in prison, try not to cry. Because you're going to want to. You really will. Anyway, peace.